screen, she's supposed to participate as a whole for a show.
That's why you're losing.
Hi boys.
Hi Chris.
Hey Chris, how you doing?
I've got a question for you.
Oh, I'll put it on mute.
I've got a good question for you two. Judge, what is language to you?
That's a very good question.
Brain teaser.
It's very hard to put my finger on.
Externally, it's a means of communication.
I'd say it's a complex form of communication.
A form of communication. A form of communicating with other people.
But internally, it can be the language of thought.
It has something to do with communication, but it has a lot of other things in it also. Some way that the brain processes material that frequently gets spit out in terms of sound or signs or something.
Conveys your experience and level of your humanity, really.
Language means very much some intrinsic, or it contains, if you like, some intrinsic qualities to the person.
Language is an identity, a culture, everything.
Because everybody feels that, yeah, it's part of my personality, that's the way I talk, that is my language or my dialect, that is the way I sound, that is me.
I think of language as very different from languages. I mean, language is something in the brain and can differ slightly from individual to individual. Languages are something that sort of emerges from many different speakers.
So you've got the difference between, say, English and Spanish, and then within English you've got the difference between good English and bad English.
Now there's a strong feeling, or a lot of people have the feeling, that there's good English and there's sloppy English. That, in a way, is something that slows down change, because there's such a model that's correct English. Everybody is striving to speak and write in accordance with that model.
When we study language change, we want to have people of different ages. So we want someone who is in their 20s, someone in their 40s, sorry guys, I apologize, someone who is about 60, and someone who is about 80. We acquire patterns of linguistic coloration up to 20, and then we stabilize. Emma is speaking today, when she's 40, like people spoke 20 years ago, so she represents language as it was spoken in 92. So each of them represents a different time slice in language change.
After the Norman conquest in 1066, there was something that happened to the language which seems to have really changed it. That whole mix of people who were native to England, invaders, hostile invaders from France, from Normandy, and also these recent settlers from Scandinavia. That is what my current research is all about, trying to identify what exactly is going on and how does it relate to all these speakers of English at the time, especially the way they learnt English as young children, for whom, for many of them, English would not have been the first language.
If you think about infants, they can't tie their shoelaces, they can't take care of themselves, and yet they're able to acquire this complex cognitive system that language is. How do they do it?
You have something up here which enables you to speak and understand a language.
Language is actually something very physical, because we know now where it happens, but language is also something that happens between brains, that is in a society. So it really matters a lot, you know, how many languages you speak, what languages they are.
Many children across the world acquire more than one language. There's children bilingual and trilingual and so forth. So, and they do not get confused by, you know, being exposed to more than one language. Recent research indicates that children who grow up bilingual or so, bilingual or trilingual, in fact, may have certain cognitive benefits. If you think of an adult trying to acquire a foreign language, it's a huge, massive endeavor.
To learn a second language, well, to shift into another personality, So that, yeah, okay, you can adopt that other new language as being also part of you. So in that respect, perhaps it is perhaps a bit easier for people if they're not so good language learners, because that means, yeah, well, that perhaps they have a more stable personality, actually.
What are you currently researching at the moment?
I'm currently working on a couple things in medieval Spanish, actually, because my interest is theoretical linguistics, so I kind of go wherever the theory takes me. I don't specifically work on English necessarily.
And what do you find most exciting about your research?
Oh, I think it's the kind of problem-solving aspect of it. That is to say, you come across a problem and you think, well, what is going on here? You know, so you find something strange, you're kind of reading along, and you see something, well, I've never seen that before. Why is it doing that? And it's just that desire to just figure out what's going on.
What I'm working on at the moment is a project culminating in a book having to do with mathematical analysis of large collections of natural language text. This involves a lot of computation, a lot of mathematics, and is related to fields in computer science like information retrieval and data mining. Underlying all the stuff that linguistics and language students learn is a very solid core of mathematics, as there's a solid core of mathematics in all science.
My interests really are about where language fits in the structure of mind, and what the relationship is between language and speech. Some people identify language as speech, but they're not exactly the same thing. And also I'm interested in the relationship between language and thought, the question of whether you can think independently of your language, or whether you are in the prison house of your own particular language, which I don't believe is the case, but many people do think that's the case. So I'm busily arguing against them.
Language is like a species, so it doesn't really exist in a way. It's just a way of talking about a whole bunch of individuals that can sort of talk to each other and influence each other.